Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of From the Rough, America's favorite golf podcast. Live from the FanStream Sports Studios in hot, sweltering Dallas, Texas. I'm IndyCarTim, joined, as I always am, from the great white north up there in Kansas City, Kansas. PGA of America member, Mr. Johnny, the Gerbinator Gerber. Hello, Johnny.
How about that? You said it about right. I mean, the weather here was so perfect here in Kansas City. High today was about 76 degrees, a little crisp this morning. So looking forward to some really good weather. I'm only going to be here a couple more days before I get back on the travel scene. But yeah, it was a great day here. Looking forward to maybe getting back here in a couple weeks and enjoying some of this good weather along with Ohio. We'll be back in Ohio enjoying some of that good weather too. So This time of year is great. Fall golf, man, it's great for a couple more months. But man, boy, this was special this morning.
So, yeah, I mean, you've been probably getting to play more golf up there than you could if you were here for sure, right? Because it's not 140 degrees up there every day like it is here.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. You know, I did that for 2 summers there in Dallas, and I was like, that's brutal. I don't know how many times did I fall out, 2 or 3 times, you know, there in the summer. But no, it's been great. I played a lot of golf here met some really cool people, great experience that I've been able to do this summer, man. So we'll see if we maybe continue a little bit further on. If the weather is good here, I'm going to stay here a little bit longer in Ohio before I got a theory about golf in the fall and the spring.
All right, what's that?
If I see my breath, I'm not playing.
I like that theory.
That's just what it is. If I see my breath, I'm not playing unless there's enough candy on the line. If there's enough candy on the line, I'll lather it up. Or if I'm playing with Mills, just because I know. You know, Mills, if I'm playing with Mills, anytime Mills asks me to play golf, it doesn't really matter if it's 50 degrees, 50.
Where's Mills?
I'll play golf with Mills.
Speaking of Mills, we need to get that back going again.
We will. I had a conversation with him, and every time I made him a deal. I said, every time I come back to Columbus from Kansas City or Texas, and I bring you a case of 805 beer, that's his favorite beer in the world besides Blue Moon, that you have to get back on the segment. And he made me a deal. So I just went to the liquor store today and bought him a case of 805s.
All right.
So we're back. And he can't play golf in the winter, especially Wednesday. You know what hurt him last time, all those other times, is we were too late. Right. So he was, well, I mean, for radio purposes, it was great because he was hammered. But
everybody at the bar liked it.
Yeah. But everybody, yeah. So, no, it's going to be fun. You know, it gets dark up there at 5 o'clock, so he doesn't really have any excuses. So, we'll figure it out. I want to try to get him live, but I don't want to push the envelope.
You think he could do video? Think he could figure this mess out to do video?
The contrary belief, he's a really smart guy. He's super smart.
I know he's smart,
and he's techie that way. It's just a matter if he wants to do it or not. I told you. I've known Mills for almost 10 years now. I've never met his wife.
I know. I don't think there is one. I think she's fictitious.
She hates me. First off, I found out last time I was in Columbus, she doesn't like me very much. I'm like, why? Mills is like, well, all I tell her is I'm playing golf with you, and it takes time away from her. I said, well, don't tell her I'm playing golf with you then.
Just lie to her like all the other husbands do.
I mean, you know, clean out your beer cans of Blue Moons on the way to the car somewhere. I don't know.
What's the matter with him? Do I got to give him marriage advice?
You know, everybody blames me for breaking up their marriages.
Everybody knows. Well, you broke mine up. Everybody knows I am the king. All of them. I'm the king of marriages and knowing everything about women because I've been married 3 times. So clearly I'm the master. I know all of it.
How many times?
I don't know why people don't just come to me with more marriage questions.
How many times?
What? That I've been married?
Yeah.
Well, I stopped counting at 3 because I figured
times 2 minimum.
No.
Come on.
I wasn't dumb more than 3 times.
Well, who said you
as far
had to
as
be
marriage
dumb?
goes?
Yeah, I get it.
But Johnny, big time for golf right now. The PGA season is over for now, but that doesn't mean golf's over because I feel like I say this every show. One of my favorite events coming up because they all are, I guess. They're all my
true.
favorite events. The Ryder Cup is coming up. And, we've talked about the Euro team. We've talked about the U.S. team over the past, 6-7 weeks when we ever got around to doing golf shows for everybody. And, all the speculation that we had, who's going to be the captain's picks, who's going to qualify. And, they do the Euro teams a little bit different as far as qualification goes because you got two different point systems that you're pulling from.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more convoluted until you actually get there. But the one thing that's the same as the U.S. team is the captain gets to pick 6 players. And that came out this past week, or I guess over the weekend. And some surprises here,
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you talk about the schedule. I mean, the point system a little bit too is like the reason they do that is because they do a world ranking system and a Euro points because a lot of the European guys are PGA Tour members. So
right.
that makes sense. But I mean, to be honest with you, for the most part, you could have the guys and like John Rahm, even if they don't qualify and they try to keep both memberships, they've changed that kind of category a little bit a few years ago because the guys wanted to play more. And I think some of the guys will play a little bit more in Europe because of the DP World Tour with the merger. I don't want to get too much into that, but there's going to be a lot more money. So, I mean, these guys know. I mean, you talk about a couple picks. I mean, with the European side, I want to jump on the U.S. side first, but Tommy Fleetwood was obviously on the team just through his world rankings, and some of these guys that you already knew. But when you start talking about the U.S. side and all these picks, and I was a little off. I was a little thrown off on the Justin Thomas picks. We haven't really talked about that because we hadn't had a show and talked about the picks. But I mean, I heard through the grapevine that he was picked a month ago. Like the captain, Zach Johnson, told him a month ago, hey, don't worry about how you're playing. Keep working on your game. You're on the team. We can't really say anything. And that just goes to show, when we talked about this off air, is, Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, if they're not hurt, they're going to be on this team until they're 50. Like they are. I mean, they're going to be the stalwarts of wearing that red, white, and blue. And I don't blame them. I mean, JT he's going to play in the Fortinet. I think Max Homa is going to play in the Fortinet. So maybe that's the only people on that team that's going to play next week. Obviously with Max because he's the defending champion. He's a 2-time champion. And then, JT just to get some reps in. But, who you think got snubbed on the U.S. team? I mean, do you say Keegan Bradley? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's playing hot. Do we say Lucas Glover? I mean, if I was really going to make a case for anybody that got snubbed was maybe Cam Young. And I really thought through my sources that he was a lock on that team. But he had played so bad over the last month. It's like, how can you really put him on that team? And I think that opened up the door. And justified that Justin Thomas pick a little bit.
Yeah. And you and I discussed, several times again over the past 6-7 weeks about if Justin Thomas was going to be picked. And at the time we were discussing, would it be Justin Thomas or would it be Sam Burns? Of course, they're both on the team. I don't think we anticipated that there would be room for both, but and my argument was from a golf standpoint, no, I don't want Justin Thomas on the team. He's not playing good golf. I don't care what his record is in the Ryder Cup in Europe on European soil. I don't care about any of that. I care about how you're hitting the ball right now. And he has had a terrible, probably the worst year of his career this year, which tells me there's something going on, right? In his head, there's something going on. Well, now that he's picked, I'm like, well, of course he got picked. I mean, I'm totally contradicting myself. I'm like, of course he got picked. Look how he's played in the Ryder Cup previously.
Yeah, listen, he's got the best record in a Ryder Cup over the last. He's like 15-6-2 in the Ryder Cup, dude. He is the Ian Poulter of the team. He just is. And maybe you look at it. I mean, if you're looking at a glass half full type of scenario, I mean, he hasn't played the last 3 weeks, right? Maybe he's so refreshed, right? He's working on his game and. He's not so mentally broken down when it comes to that. But, everyone wants to kind of scrutinize a little bit. I'm surprised how more people are scrutinizing this Sam Burns pick than they are the JT pick. I mean, Sam Burns has played great the last 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Right.
So he finished 8th in the Tour Championship, but you also got to realize, man, he won the match play earlier in the year, and that bodes well usually,
right.
especially in that Ryder Cup. And then his experience last year on the President's Cup. I think I'm going to try to get Sam Burns' caddy on the show right before the Ryder Cup, Travis Perkins, who's a friend of mine, and talk a little bit about maybe how long did he really know, because he was probably a last minute pick. I think in my opinion, I think Zach was probably struggling with either him or Lucas Glover. And here's where I think it hurt Lucas was, if the Ryder Cup was this week, it could have been a pick for Lucas Glover, right? Because he's so hot. Like, he's playing so hot.
Yep.
Maybe that little Billy Horschel theory, 6 or 7 years ago when he won the FedExCup, he was playing so well. But the Ryder Cup was 3 weeks away. So how do you ride that hot hand as the captain of the U.S. team? I don't know. That's a really hard thing. Do you take the full body of work, or do you take a month, what Lucas Glover did, and kind of parallel that into, to a pick? But I don't know, man. I think Zach Johnson did a great job. I think he justified it, how he talked about why he picked these guys. Mm-hmm. And again, I think it came down to also, who do these players want on their team? I think they took those six guys and said, hey, who do you want on that team? And Koepka surprised me a little bit. And here's why I say surprised me. Was I know he has some of those discrepancies with Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay, but he was unanimously voted on the team. Like, so was Sam Burns, and right. So was JT. So, that just goes to show that the team really, the six guys that had automatic qualifiers, really picked this team along with Zach Johnson.
Yeah, and if you're looking at guys on the American team, that may have gotten snubbed, if you just look at it from a straight points standpoint, of course, the top 6 qualifiers in points were Scheffler, Clark, Harmon, Cantlay, Homa, and Schauffele. Koepka was next. Of course, he's there. Jordan Spieth. Cam Young was 9th. He's out. And then Morikawa. We talked about Keegan Bradley. I kind of feel like Bradley might be the biggest snub here. You said Cam Young. I think maybe Bradley's a bigger snub. Then you had Ricky Fowler in points at 13th.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer. They were that he was on the team, like, because just how versatile he is. He can play with everybody, and he's kind of in that clique, right?
Yep.
He's in that crew. So Ricky was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and then Danny McCarthy, and then JT and Glover at 16th in points. And like you said, if the tournament or the competition was this week, there's no question Glover would have been involved, just because he's riding a hot hand. I made a little bit of a play for Tony Finau, maybe. I know he set there really low, kind of was around there at 19th, 20th, probably on the points. And 21st.
I know the guys love playing with him, and with his President's Cup record last year, and then 2 years ago, he was 5-0 in the Ryder Cup, man. So, I thought he might have, I'm sure he got some consideration, but I thought he might have been one of those kind of wild card picks that could have maybe stunned some people, because I know how much all the players revere Tony. Right. So, I don't know. That was a wild card we talked about on some of the other, ESPN affiliates and stuff that I do on the radio, is maybe who they asked me who maybe he'll wild card pick. And I always, my comment was always Tony Finau. I thought he might be kind of that sleeper, but he hadn't really played well, right? I think if he comes in with a little bit of a hotter hand, I think it would have been a little easier decision for him. But who would you leave off? I mean, if you got Tony Finau in, who's going to go? Like, it's not going to be JT. It's not. And so you put him on, who you going to leave off? So that was a tough one. I think it was more so that, not so much who you're going to leave off, but there were so many guys in that mix. And I don't know, man, that couldn't have been an easy decision.
No. And to answer your question about Finau, the only guy I would replace with Finau would be JT. And there's no way you're leaving JT off the team. And it's interesting you say that, what you had said earlier, and you've commented on this in the previous weeks, about how much it comes down to who's buddies with who. And not just the captain, but who you're going to be playing with. Because these guys are over there together for a long time. It's a close-knit group. There's only 12 of them. You're representing your country. And putting together a Ryder Cup team isn't just who's playing the best golf right now. obviously, because that wouldn't have fit any of the in most of these guys. It's about the course. It's about the competition. It's about who can play well with opposite these guys now that have been picked from Europe. And it's a science, and it's a lot of people think, well, it's just like because I've heard people talking, people have asked me about that. How is this different than the Olympics? Okay, it was nothing like the Olympics. It's international competition. That's how it's like the Olympics. That's it. It's international, but it's two teams. It's Europe and it's America.
Yeah.
And the strategy behind who's playing who on what day, there's a science to it. And I don't understand it. I wish I did. But you talked about. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, finish. Sorry.
You talked about Jordan Spieth and JT they're going to be, on the team until they can't swing a golf club anymore. One of those guys is going to be a future Ryder Cup captain. Maybe both of them at some point.
Both. I think both for sure.
Both for sure. And I mean, we don't know when that's going to be. Obviously, it'll be much later than now. But think about the experience that they're going to bring, to those teams. But you've got a lot of Euro guys right now that are going to be Ryder Cup captains at some point, and it's that to me, that's the excitement, not just thinking about now, but thinking about in 2 years and 4 years, how all these guys have come together, because it's so different every time around for the Ryder Cup. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you made a great point, and it is a science a little bit more than just picking. I mean, it kind of boils down to, in my opinion, like three kind of points. Is first off, who do you want to be in the foxhole with, right? I mean, who's going to grind out with you and their game and be over there for a week, and who do you enjoy being around? First off, outside of the golf course, and that's a big deal. How these guys really kind of work when it comes to something like that. Second off is, how do their games get compared? How comparable are their games? How complementary and how negative on their games? I mean, if you look at a guy like Ricky Fowler, you can put Ricky Fowler with anybody on that team in a best ball and an alternate shot format. So he has so much versatility. A little bit, JT's a little bit that way. Koepka's a little bit that way, right? So some of these guys, their malleability in terms of who you compare them with. I mean, there's only one singles match. Yeah, I mean, you have 4 other matches. There's only one singles match. So that's not even definitively the number one reason why they're playing. It's how you can put guys together, man. And then, again, this might sound kind of goofy, but you'll be surprised how many times that people are paired together. If you look at like a JT and Jordan Spieth, well, first off, they hit it relatively similar. I mean, Jordan Spieth is not a short hitter. People think he's short. He's not. They play the same type of golf ball. They play the same irons. They're still with the same equipment company, right? So when they start changing, alternate shot and best ball, they have the same distances on their golf ball. So that comes into play. How do their games really fit, man? So you're right, man. There's a great point by you to saying how, it is a science. It's not, hey, man, this guy can play. And I like what Zach Johnson said. And I want to say this right, and I'll probably screw it up, but he said, I don't want the 12 best players. I want the 12 best players for this team, right? It's not, that's a big difference. I mean, that is a big difference. And again, that's why I think that's one of the deciding factors why JT's on the team.
Yeah. And it's a lot of pressure, just the casual golf fan. I don't think understands the amount of pressure that is on a Ryder Cup captain to make his picks, to put the team together, and to perform well. I mean, again, you're representing your country. It's very much in that aspect, very much like the Olympics. You want to win for your country. But I mean, you're representing everyone over here and your other, and the golfers that didn't make it, and if the team doesn't perform well, it falls on the captain almost more so than the players that were not performing well, which is another great aspect of this competition. So we're going to take a quick break here on From the Rough and come back and talk a little bit about the Euro squad.
Euro squad. Yeah.
The Euro squad, maybe some snubs there and some guys that didn't make it and all the guys that obviously did that were announced this past weekend. I'm IndyCarTim. That is Johnny Gerber up in Kansas City. We'll be back here on FanStream Sports after this.
Hello, sports fans. FanStream Sports.
Hey, you like golf? There's a good chance you do because I said so. But what do you need playing golf? Well, you need clubs. right? Clubs, you need balls. The thing that people don't usually think about is that golf bag. And that's what most people see when they look at your golf clubs, like right off the bat. And if you've got a raggedy bag, it's not doing you any favors, bud. So get you a new bag. Go over to orca-golf.com. Orca-golf.com. Why are you going there? You're going there because you want a golf bag, but you want one that's kind of screams you. So you want to pick the colors. Well, you can use your own custom colors. Maybe you have a logo in mind. Maybe it's your logo. You're like Prince. You just have a symbol. That's the case. Dude, you can get your logo on there. Your name, just get it done exactly like what you want it done. By actual designers. Nothing goes out of their factory without the approval of the founder, Erica Bennett, who is just brilliant. We've seen some of her bags. We've got one of them actually in the studio. You know what? Dude, it looks good. If you want other people to look at your golf setup and go, man, that just screams Frank. You want that? Then go over to orca-golf.com. Do yourself a favor and use the promo code DSP10 for 10% off and free shipping. I'll say that again, DSP10 for 10% off and free shipping. So do it today because Orca Golf is the best choice in the game.
Hi, golfers. IndyCarTim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
All right, guys, time to talk a little bit about turf life. You've seen the hats on our heads. You've been or seen the video of the studio. You've seen that the decals are all over the place. Turf life. Man, it's the brand that salutes the consumer and industry players everywhere whose lives involve turf. What does that mean? That means if you play or have a business or, maybe you're a sports educator, you're going to be on turf at some point. So you live the turf life. So go ahead and tell everybody you live the turf life by having your turf life window decal or, the hat or the keychain or the something. Along that lines, just go to turflifeclub.com and become a turf head. That's what it's called when you live the turf life. You're now a turf head. And you can go join the club today, snag that window decal, or snag any other special Turf Life accessories, and go over there to that website, which is turflifeclub.com, and get your stuff. And show everybody that, man, I'm all about that turf life. And then you just kind of raise your coffee mug at them and go, yeah, turf life, baby. That's what it's about. And then that's the end of the commercial. Ding. That means it's done in microwave talk.
Hey, listeners, make sure you check out the brand new FanStream Sports in-studio text line. You can reach us during any of our live shows or 24/7 at 214-937-0569. That's 214-937-0569. Text us 24/7 day or night, and we'll reply to you and make you part of the show.
Coming back at you. Now, more FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to From the Rough right here on FanStream Sports. I'm IndyCarTim. That is Johnny the Gerber. We're here talking some Ryder Cup for you.
Let me fix my.
And as Johnny's producing on the air, got to close the blinds. At least I hope that's what you're doing. Got some Ryder Cup talk. We just finished up talking some U.S.
There we go.
Ryder Cup talk. It looks exactly the same. I don't know what you did. What'd you just do?
Probably nothing, but I don't know.
All I see is slats on you. Like you got some blinds open or something. But all the Ryder Cup talk today, as it comes up September, I believe, 25th through October 1st will be your Ryder Cup dates. U.S. versus Europe. We went through the U.S. team a little bit, talking about who made it, who didn't. I feel like altogether, though, Zach Johnson put together a pretty good squad. I don't think anybody can complain really about anybody. I tried like hell to complain about JT making the team until I realized, well, of course JT's on the team. Don't be ridiculous. But that's just me.
Yeah.
So let's get into the Euro squad here, Johnny. As I pull it up here on my my Radio Shack computer, my TRS-80. from the Ryder the Cup website. So, of course, the European is a little bit different from the United States because the United States just pulls from one points listing, whereas the Euro team uses two different criteria for the six qualifiers. The European points list based on points earned in the DP World Tour, and then world points list based on the official world golf ranking. So you take the three, from the top three from the world, and then the top three from the DP that weren't on the world. So that's
right.
how that qualifier, goes. So as far as that team, let's run down that real quick. Man, these TRS 80s aren't very fast these days. Rory McIlroy, John Rahm.
Why is he on the team? I mean,
what's he going to do? What's he ever done? First of all,
why is he on the team?
John Rahm, Robert McIntyre, Yannick Paul. Oh wait, he's not on the team. Tommy Fleetwood from the World Points. Let's see, I had it over here. I don't know why I'm even looking at my TRS 80 right now because we were talking about it off the air. John Rahm and Rory McIlroy came from the European Points. Victor Hovland, Terrell Hatton from the World Points. Robert McIntyre from the Euro Points. Matthew Fitzpatrick from the World Points. And then your captain's picks from this past weekend: Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, Justin Rose, Ludwig Aberg, and Johnny, you sound like a genius now that he was picked, and Nikolai Hogard. Tell me a little bit about Ludwig Aberg, because we talk about him on the show quite a bit from the PGA Tour. He's fairly new, went to Texas Tech, had a tremendous amateur career, and then he's had it because of where he's from. He's played a lot in amateur international play, which has pretty much given him the credibility to be on this team and to be a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his pick, we talked about. I mean, we touted him months ago, right? And we said that, I really think he's going to be on the Ryder Cup just for a lot of reasons. He's one of the best drivers of the golf ball in the world. One of the little deciding factors that I really thought was interesting when Luke Donald and him played together in the Rocket Mortgage over the summer, and over the first two rounds, he was leading the golf tournament. And then just some of those uncircumstances things that happened during the rain delay, things like that. You can't control that. But Luke Donald really saw his game and really knew, that he could really fit for the Ryder Cup. And we talked about it. It's like, man, this guy is going to be picked on the Ryder Cup team. And we said this months ago. Here's an interesting thing. He's the only person to ever play in the Ryder Cup that's never played in a major.
Yeah.
How about that? So, how does that experience maybe in a major will help you in a Ryder Cup? Yeah, probably some, but there's no pressure like a Ryder Cup. But, I'm pretty sure, as much as he's played on the PGA Tour, this guy, and played with the Rory McIlroys and the John Rahms and the Hattons and all these guys that are kind of stalwarts there, they told Luke Donald, say, hey, man, we want this guy on the team. It wasn't a singular decision. So that just goes to show you how revered this guy is when it comes to that. I mean, a year ago, this guy was playing college golf, right? And it just doesn't happen. And it's a little bit similar, right, to Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
Like, when he, 2 years ago when he was in that spot. So, does he have another break? Does he break out like Scotty did? Yeah, maybe. Maybe this is the momentum that he really needs to kind of propel his career. But, yeah, the guy's got a world of talent. And, Luke, it wasn't only Luke Donald's decision to get him on the team. It was the guys that was already there. Like I said, the Rahms and the Rorys, they wanted him on this team and thought he was a good pick. So that tells you everything you need to know.
So how much do you know about this course over in Rome that they're playing? You never played it, right? I know you played over in Europe a little bit.
No.
I just, we talk about Ludwig Aberg's game. He's a monster of a dude and a monster of a ball striker. Is there something about, other than his experience, in international competition already as an amateur, you think there's something about his game that Luke Donald saw that maybe caters to this course a little bit, or do you know anything about this course much?
Well, they're going to set it up to kind of cater to which is weird. They say they're going to cater to the shorter hitters and make it really tight. But I mean, if you look at the European team, I mean, they probably average longer distance than the U.S. team. I mean, Rory and Rahm certainly are two of the longest drivers of the golf golf balls. Who compares that on the U.S. side? I think those two guys are, by far. So it might surprise you how they set up the golf course. And then with Aberg, as long as he hits that golf ball and as straight as he hits it, and he's revered as one of the best drivers in the world, I think it's going to surprise you a little bit on how they set up the golf course. We'll see, man. I mean, we really will see. Maybe his versatility with Aberg that will help. And I think this is kind of setting a precedent a little bit that this guy might be to get some of that new young blood on there for the Ryder Cup, for the future.
But was there anybody that you saw, and again, pulling from two different points criteria for the Euro team, was there anybody that you saw that maybe that you shocked didn't get named? I mean, again, you and I were calling the whole Aberg thing for a while, but him being picked means someone with a lot more experience wasn't picked. And out of the guys, that you're looking, the Adrian Maronks, the Alex Norns that were pretty high up there on the world points. And then from a European point standpoint, you're looking at Yannick Paul, Victor Perez, guys that are high up on the world points that got left out in front of guys like a Tommy Fleetwood. Perez and Maronk and Yannick Paul are all ahead of Tommy Fleetwood on the Euro points. But any of those guys, do you think that was a shock that they're not on it? Or not a shock, but maybe a little bit of a snub?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I think Maronk is probably the one that kind of sticks out to me more than anyone, just because he's played well. I mean, for most American guys that don't really know that name, this guy's a world-class player. I covered him, did a nice little interview with him down at the match play down in Austin early in the year. And the guy's 6'6". I mean, the guy hits it as good as anybody that you've ever seen on the driving range, and he won on that golf course this summer. So that was a little bit of a surprise. I thought maybe that experience would maybe propel him. But again, you look into a spot. I mean, is Aberg's the only one that maybe potentially be questionable? Would you add Maronk? I don't think Victor Perez certainly was in play. Dudu Paul, I don't know what his first name is. I mean, he ain't in
Yannick
play.
Paul?
I promise. No, yeah, he's not in play. I mean, Chris Paul's not in play. I promise you. I don't know.
Well, he can't play basketball either. So
yeah, but my point is, so I think that was the decision with Luke and him. It was either Maronk or Aberg, and I really thought potentially it came down to what did the players want, and with Luke really seeing him firsthand, thought he was way more impressed with him than it was Maronk. But when I start looking at it, I thought there was some value for sure him winning there, but this golf course for the Ryder Cup is not going to be set up like it is for the Italian Open. It's not. So, maybe you just kind of throw that a little bit out the window, and they're going to get plenty of time to prep for it. So, I think it really came down to Aberg and Maronk, and I really think the players potentially might have just got, Aberg on there and wanted him on the team.
So looking at the previous Ryder Cups, let's go back 10 Ryder Cups, which would take us back to 2002, played there at the Belfry in England. So United States have just won 3 of the last 10 Ryder Cups. Europe has dominated. I don't see that continuing so much as far as, the domination goes. But all of the United States wins in the past 10 Ryder Cups, you're going back, 20 years, 21 years, have all come on American soil.
Yeah.
They haven't won in Europe. I didn't go back far enough to see when the last time, you probably know that off the top of your head, the last time let's see, 1993, the last time they won.
Yeah, 93.
Europe. There it is. Yeah. Again, at the Belfry.
At Belfry, yeah.
So I don't want to get into predictions too much because we're going to do that probably closer to the Ryder Cup when we get a little bit more intel on players and who may be doing what. But what's your explanation for that for the U.S.? Is it just talent? Is it a bigger pool of talent over in Europe than we have here? Or is it those guys are steered more towards that type of international play because of where they grew up and doing it more than here in the States?
It's a little bit of everything, really, to be honest with you. I mean, I talk about this all the time when the kind of close-knit the Europeans have with each other. They travel together. They stay in the same hotels.
Right.
It's not as, for years and years, they've really done that. They play practice rounds together as opposed to the American guys. They're kind of so singular. They didn't really have this bonding thing. And I think Azinger obviously made it, I don't know how to say how Azinger made it, making the pod system and the personalities. But if you look at the European team for years, this is bigger than anything that they've ever played for. I mean, it's even bigger than, winning a British Open. And again, like I said, these guys they've known each other for so long and traveled together and playing the Challenge Tour and all this, man. And it just means for so long, it just meant more. I mean, let's just be honest. It just meant more. And, you could look at it for years and years, and there's no way in hell anyone can say that the European side had more talent than the U.S. side. They didn't. But you know what? When you put that underdog role on somebody, man, they have a tendency to kind of thrive a little bit more than, feeling a little bit complacent potentially with the U.S. side. And, I mean, if you look at both squads right now, is it like the most balanced challenge that I've seen in a long time? I don't know who's favored. Like, I really don't. I mean, can you tell me who's favored? Because I don't see it. Like,
I wasn't able to find odds on anybody this far out. I'm sure we'll get some of that, the closer you get. But as far as, the odds go, I guess they will handicap the teams for sure, which team's favored. But to me, the matchup betting will be even more interesting. I bet you're chomping at the bit for some of these, when these matchups get released, when we get closer to the actual competition.
I'm chewing my fingernail. We've had a couple weeks off from the PGA Tour. I'm chewing my fingernails off right now. I'm ready. We got Fortinet next week, and we'll talk about that, on Monday's show. But man, I'm ready. And that's I love the match play part. And then this is my favorite next to the Masters. The Masters obviously is great. The Masters and the Ryder Cup for me are the holy grail when it comes to just my entertainment, how I like to watch it. And also is just the gambling part of it. Here's what's going to be interesting, and be careful when I say this. And I know the allocation of the tickets go everywhere, but playing in Italy is not going to be nearly as big of a rumpus crowd, I don't think, than it normally is, just because it's the laid back nature of the Italian people. And now allocating the tickets is one thing. It's still going to be Euro, but when you're playing like in mainstream main Europe, and you're playing at the Belfry, and you're playing some of these old school places, it's brutal. And I think getting off campus per se and playing in Italy is going to help the U.S. a little bit. So man, boy, and again, how about this? We get early morning golf, bro. We get early morning golf again because there's 6 hours, 5 hours ahead depending on where you live. We're gonna get some early morning golf, man. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And man, I'm looking forward to it. This is the most excited I've been in a long time for a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I mean, and it only happens every so often. So I mean, you that excitement, you're able to tamper that excitement a little bit until the year of. Usually, it's when the excitement picks up. But yeah, from a competitive standpoint, this has got to be the most excited I've been in a while, especially since we've been doing the show. This is just the second one I think since we've been doing the show. That we talked about.
Think about this. So. I mean, think about the top tier players on both sides that are playing good. They are playing fantastic, and I love it. And then, man, boy, making me hyperventilate. I'm excited. Man, can we bet on it today? Can we bet on it today?
Yeah, but you can't win anything. You can bet all you want, but you're not going to win today. So we're going to take our last break of the show here, pay a little bit more bills, and come back. And Johnny, I've got 5 burning questions for you ahead of the FedExCup fall as we head into the kind of the postseason here a little bit after the playoffs and all of that. But we may talk a little more JT as he's maybe this center point of one of my questions here for you. We'll get into all of that here on From the Rough on FanStream Sports. We'll be back.
Hello, sports fans. FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCarTim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, grip it, and sip it. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
All right, guys, time to talk a little bit about turf life. You've seen the hats on our heads. You've been or seen the video of the studio. You've seen that the decals are all over the place. Turf life. Man, it's the brand that salutes the consumer and industry players everywhere whose lives involve turf. What does that mean? That means if you play or have a business or, maybe you're a sports educator, you're going to be on turf at some point. So you live the turf life. So go ahead and tell everybody you live the turf life by having your turf life window decal or, the hat or the keychain or the something. Along that lines, just go to turflifeclub.com and become a turf head. That's what it's called when you live the turf life. You're now a turf head. And you can go join the club today, snag that window decal, or snag any other special Turf Life accessories and go over there to that website, which is turflifeclub.com, and get your stuff and show everybody that, man, I'm all about that turf life. And then you just kind of raise your coffee mug at them and go, yeah, turf life, baby. That's what it's about. And then that's the end of the commercial. Ding. That means it's done in microwave talk.
Hello, golf friends. It's IndyCarTim from the Rough. I want to take just a minute here and tell you about our new friends over at Orca Golf. They make high-quality PGA Tour grade golf bags, and they're the best in the business. They're the real deal. They're the best bags I've ever seen. They even designed a bag for the Golden Bear himself, Jack Nicklaus. Head over to orca-golf.com and pick up a great bag from their catalog or let them customize one just for you. You can use your own custom colors, your own logo, you name it. You work with actual designers and nothing goes out without the approval of founder Erica Bennett. She's just brilliant. Visit orca-golf.com. That's orca-golf.com and use our promo code DSP10 for 10% off and free shipping. Do it today. Orca Golf, best choice in game.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Hey, listeners, make sure you check out the brand new FanStream Sports in-studio text line. You can reach us during any of our live shows or 24/7 at 214-937-0569. That's 214-937-0569. Text us 24/7 day or night, and we'll reply to you and make you part of the show.
Coming back at you. Now, more FanStream Sports.
Here we are back on FanStream Sports. From the Rough, America's favorite golf podcast, Johnny. By America, of course, I refer to my neighbor named America.
What was that? Freedom America? Freedom America?
Yeah, something like that. Whatever it takes. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
A lot of fun talking about the Ryder Cup. It's starting it's starting to get in my blood here again. And we'll be talking a lot more Ryder Cup here this month. September 25th through October 1st is your Ryder Cup dates as we move forward here. Like Johnny said, though, we've got the Fortnite coming up, or as our buddy Bus referred to it, the Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Well, it was just, a year ago, 2 years ago, when he realized it wasn't called the Fortnite, named after the game?
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. How about that?
Thought it was the Fortnite Championship, named after the video game. So, sorry, guys over at Fortinet who paid all that money for the tournament sponsorship. But
hey, Fortnite, you can send us a check whenever you want to. That's cool. That'd be great.
I don't know if that's still a thing. I never played it, but
Yeah, I don't do video games.
my boys did for you. You don't do video games and you don't do candy bars.
Nope.
As soon as we get you up here, we're going to get you on to do the candy bar challenge.
You told me that. We're going to do a little candy bar challenge.
Yeah, we're just going to have a few lined up, and we want to just you can take a little bite of each one. We want to know what your instant reaction is on those.
Well, you want me to have like sugar coma or what? What do you want me to do?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Maybe we'll get that on camera, too.
We got a couch there, I guess. I mean, do we still have couches in the studio?
We had to sell it.
We did.
Yeah, plus half of the 72 TVs that we had in the studio. We've only got about 36 now.
I did get us a fireball machine though.
I'm still waiting for it.
No, I got us one. One of my buddies here in Kansas City is a distributor. So I played golf with him, and he lost a few dollars. And I said, well, do you have a fireball machine in your warehouse? He said, yes, we have 12 of them.
We just need 2.
I said, well, can we start with one until tomorrow, and then I beat you out the same amount of money, and then just get me another one? He said, sure. So there we go.
Oh, I can't wait to have a fireball machine here, right? It's going to be right here, right behind me.
We have any liquor left? I mean, do we have any booze left?
We haven't had booze in the studio since probably the week after you left.
No, that's fair.
I usually just get drunk before I come to the show.
Yeah, fair.
That's the way it works out. So Johnny, let's talk about 5 burning questions as we get into the whatever you want to call it. It's not even postseason, it's after season now, as we have moved on from the FedExCup. We get into the before Ryder Cup, the Fortinet, but this is kind of goes into stuff for next year as a kind of a preview. And one of the questions I had for you, Johnny, it's about JT because we're familiar with his struggles this year, probably the worst year of his professional career. And it's probably not even close. Is there any chance Justin Thomas plays his way into any of the 2024 signature events?
No, I don't think so. It's a signature events. At the beginning of the year, you got to be a little careful, is because he's not going to play. He's going to play, Fortinet, just get some reps in for the Ryder Cup. But he's probably not going to play much after that. Maybe here or there. And then obviously with Hawaii is a winners only event, so he didn't win. So he's not going to play in that. So, I just don't think he's going to get enough reps in the fall season to get into those kind of initial events. But that being said, I don't know if they are allowing sponsors exemptions, right? I don't know how that's working yet. They haven't really, is it going to be like a normal tour event? But if he has to rely on sponsors exemptions and he wants to play, there's not any tournament in the world that if JT wants to play, that they're not going to let him play. So it's all going to be predicated on him.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about no Century, no Genesis Invitational for him, most likely. I mean, all of these are within the realm of possibility, and it's hard to imagine that he's going to miss those just because of who he is.
Well, I think they'll get I think there's some exempt. He's going to play Genesis because they'll give him an exemption, right? If he needs an exemption. So he'll play the higher tier events. He'll play Genesis. He'll play Genesis for sure.
Next burning question for you, Johnny, is who will make the top 125? As we've got a 125 bubble here. We know that 70 players have officially locked up their PGA Tour cards by qualifying for the FedExCup playoffs. The other 55 full status cards on the tour will be finalized here in the coming months. Players carry over points, I guess, from the FedExCup regular season, so they can accumulate those. But if you're looking at because I've got the players here that are somewhat on the bubble, so these are numbers 120 through 135.
Sure.
And it's interestingly, Aberg is on that. He's at number 135, but he's already got exempt status for the 2024 season.
Yep.
So he's in for sure. Trey Mullinax and Aaron Wise, Scott Stallings are all on this list, but they're in. They all have exempt status for 2024.
Yep.
But guys like CT Pan, Cheston Hadley, Patton Kazire.
Patton Kazire's in, because here's why I say, because he's going to play well at RSM, and that's his home golf course there. So you're looking at Patton Kazire. I don't foresee Patton Kizzire kind of being out of that 125. I just think there's some events coming up. He's had some success, and home cooking does him well. It's a little bit of predicated on how much of these guys practicing and playing. But with Patton Kizzire having a home game at RSM, I certainly think he's going to stay in that 125.
Scott Piercy, Eric Van Rooyen.
The Monopoly Man.
No, those stupid, just ridiculous pants that he wears. I don't.
The mustache.
I don't get it.
Mustache.
I don't mind the mustache so much, but those pants. It's like he wears sweatpants on tour. I don't know why they let him get. I mean,
Scott Piercy, is he going to? How many times has he withdrawn from tournaments? Like, the sponsors don't like that stuff, man. And I don't know what's going on with him, but he's probably withdrawn 6 or 7 times this year, and that doesn't bode well for trying to get in other events.
Troy Merritt, another name that we've seen pretty regularly the past couple of seasons. Paul Haley the second, and then a guy that I hope he gets his card because I love watching him play golf. Johnny, my man, Harry Higgs.
Miss Doubtfire, I think Miss Doubtfire gets in for sure. He's one of those guys. Again, if Miss Doubtfire doesn't get in, he's going to get some of those exemptions. He's a crowd favorite, right? So he can bring some of those people in. So that plays into the equation when you talk about getting in some tournaments. But if you look at him also 125 to 150, obviously you have to go to tour school, but you still have some exemption spots like for the following year. So you'll still get in some things, but Harry Higgs, everybody loves Harry Higgs. So I don't foresee him. If he doesn't play his way in, I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities, in the next probably 6 months to continue to get his card, keep his card.
Next question, Johnny. Can any of these big names find their form? And I'm talking about guys who, because the fall here kind of holds a different significance for some of the more familiar names who, even though they're kind of down in the standings, they're not concerned about keeping their card because they already have exempt status, but they still need to, you expect them to play well. I'm talking about guys like Billy Horschel, Webb Simpson, Cam Champ, and Kevin Kisner. I remember late last year, we're always talking Billy Horschel on the show. And I want to say it was right around this time last year, maybe a little before, when he started kind of jacking with his swing. He wasn't playing real well. He wasn't playing real consistent. And he started jacking with his swing. I don't know if that helped him at all, but it seems like this is the time of the year guys start doing stuff like that to try to find their game heading into the new season, right? Especially for those guys trying to keep their card. Horschel and all these guys, of course, have exempt status just due to different whatever winning exemptions or whatever. But any of these guys stand out to you to make a move in 2024?
Horschel's always an interesting spot. I mean, he's a FedExCup champion. And then, the hard thing about the tour these days, and it's going to change a little bit because there over the past probably 8 years, there hasn't really been an off season. So their downtime to get in better shape, work on their swing, change equipment, which is a big thing, right? Changing their equipment and getting used to stuff like that, over the last 8 years didn't really happen. So they're going to get that maybe a little bit over the next couple of years. Billy's kind of a different bird on his own, right? I'm more worried about Kisner. He stands out to me more than anything else because I think as good of a short game that he has, the way the PGA Tour is kind of trending. I mean, some of these, he can really only maybe compete in 10% of the fields, just the way the PGA Tour is evolving. Right. It's not that, he sits one of the last on the PGA Tour in driving distance, and the tour is trending more towards the long hitters, and he's just kind of going to get antiquated a little bit, I think. So, the fortunate thing about Kevin Kisner, his short game and his putting is just fantastic. And, how much does he really want to play more golf? He likes other things. So, he's getting up there in age a little bit. So, I'm more, if I have any concern on anybody, Kisner would be the one for multiple reasons of how much does he really want to play. The golf courses and the tour itself is just kind of outdating him. And we'll see. We'll see. I'm more concerned about Kisner than anybody.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with that. Out of those guys that we listed, with Billy Horschel, Webb Simpson, it's easy for me to say, Cam Champ, and Kevin Kisner. He's Kisner's the guy that I would be more concerned about.
See, I'm not worried about Champ because he hits the ball so far. If he can stay healthy, he's had some injury problems, right? So he can still compete. Webb Simpson has that, he's a U.S. Open champion. right?
Yep.
So he's gonna have plenty of opportunities there. But Kisner has won the match play, but other than that, he's a Ryder Cup, and he can play in some spots, but he doesn't have the grind in terms of potentially maybe golf is his life. Some of these other guys, but like I said, I'm more worried about Kisner than all of them.
And then how many events do you think here in the fall that the top 50 will play? And what we're talking about, for those that don't know, every player in the top 50 has already locked up their card for 2024 and a spot in all 8 of the so-called signature events. So the question is how many of these guys and how much are they going to how many will they play? And then how many of the events will they play here this fall? And I'm talking about guys like Max Homa. He's supposed to play Fortinet because he's going for 3 in a row, right? He's the 2-time defending champion there at Fortinet. Ricky Fowler said he wants to play the Zozo. He wants to play the Hero, and he wants to play the Grant Thornton. And then guys like Scotty Scheffler, who was on record as saying, you're probably not going to see me a lot during the fall, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's all for these guys. I mean, they need a little bit of rest. I know Shriners in Vegas is a tour favorite for some of these guys, and more so about some of the extracurricular stuff that that Kuchar is notorious for.
Mm-hmm.
Kuchar is notorious for. That being said, that's on them. I mean, we'll see. I mean, CJ Cup, Zozo, things like that, man. It's all kind of what kind of getting reps and staying a little bit fresh. Playing some golf. I mean, these guys are still PGA Tour players. They still love to play golf. And, is it a fun place? I mean, a lot of these guys will take their families this type of year to having some potential destination places. I don't know if Vegas is for some guys or if it's not for their families, but certainly you're going to, RSM, I mean, that's a great place this time, in the fall, right there at Sea Island. It's going to be great for the family. The goofy events down in Naples in the winter, that's kind of a little bit of a different thing. So, to answer the question it's like, it's kind of on them. Do they sit and hang out with their families, or they just want to get some reps in and play some golf, man? So, that's a great question. I don't foresee them, the top 50, to answer your question, a lot, maybe sporadically, but they won't go on a 2 or 3 or 4 tournament stretch for sure.
And there's no need to for most of these guys, and this is kind of the so-called off season, if there is one anymore in golf, and those guys that have already wrapped up their opportunities to play in all the signature events and have your card for 2024. You don't get a lot of time off really during the season. So this is kind of the off season for them, and you can't knock them for not wanting to play in some of these fall events at all.
No.
On the other side of the coin, you got guys that are desperately still trying to get in for 2024. And they're the guys that we'll be seeing here at the Fortinet. By the way, on Monday, we'll probably talk about the Fortinet a little bit. We'll be previewing that as it's coming up the 14th through the 17th of this month. And then on the schedule, again, the Ryder Cup late in the month to October 1st. And then after that, the week after the Ryder Cup, whoever's going to play in it, the Sanderson Farms Championship there in Jackson, Mississippi. So lots of golf for us to keep talking about here in the fall in the so-called off season. And we'll be here to talk about all of it, not just the tournaments.
Sorry to cut you off, bro, but let me give you a quick snippet on I believe this is still true. So all the members of both Ryder Cup teams get in the Masters.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that still holds true. They get in the Masters, they get in the PGA, they don't get in the US Open. I'm not sure about the British Open because they're open, but I'm pretty sure all the members of the Ryder Cup team gets in the Masters. That's huge for Aberg.
Yeah.
For a guy that's never played in a major. And, will he win before that comes? But I think that experience potentially as good as he drives the golf. So watch him if that still holds true, because some of the criteria has changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. Watch for him to make a splash. I think potentially if he plays well with the confidence he's going to get for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, and like you said, that's huge for him because he might not have gotten in otherwise. So him being selected for the Ryder Cup team is going to open up a whole world of opportunities for him.
That's right.
From a professional standpoint. And again, we've touted him. We've talked about him, his collegiate career. I covered him, and we talk about it ad nauseum. I've covered him at Texas Tech. By far the best amateur player probably that I've ever seen. since I've been aware of amateur golf and watching collegiate events. You know, and
those US boys aren't going to be. They're going to be a little happy. He's going to bring some of those Swedish girls over to Italy too. So be careful. Be good on that one.
That's okay. I mean, they're not going to be mad about that.
No.
That's going to do it for our show here for this episode of From the Rough for a Wednesday edition. We'll be back on Monday to talk Fortinet, and I'll come up with some other fun stuff to discuss here. Maybe a couple of lists. It's time to start talking lists when we don't have a ton of tournaments to talk about heading into the Ryder Cup. But probably heading into Wednesday of next week, we'll get heavy into the Fortinet. And then after that, it's going to be all Ryder Cup discussions and maybe some guests, if we can get some guests on heading into the Ryder Cup, as we'd still be a couple weeks out. But I'm IndyCarTim. That is PGA of America member Johnny Gerber. Maybe one of these days we'll get him back here in studio in Dallas. And maybe he'll bring a whole buttload of liquor with him. That'd be great, so we could restock the liquor cabinet here.
Cocktails are good. Cocktails are good.
I like other guys.
You know, whatever. That's all for you. But we'll be back on Monday. Until then, boys and girls, y'all keep hitting them straight.